Before we begin, thank you very much to Dylan M for joining my Patreon campaign. Thank you so much for the support. It means the world to me. Thank you everyone who is supporting. You know, the thing that anyone with a Patreon thinks in their head, but they never say out loud is, I really wish everyone would pitch in $1 a month. Because if everyone watching the video pitched in $1 a month, then I wouldn't have to worry about bills, wouldn't have to worry about any kind of stresses, and it's not too much to ask of everyone. I think you're aiming for that at this point. I think you're one by one. I'm pretty sure you're trying to do that now because it's just never ending. I've got a week's worth of shout outs to get through, so my daily streak is up to 560, 70 odd videos. And your daily streak is like somewhere around like 50 or 60. I'm not even keeping track of that. But thank you guys so much. It has been a ridiculous couple months. And I am so happy you guys are keeping it going. Hasbro put out a statement. And this one was important because it came from their PR team. Came from their resource. Again, came from their PR team. And it's rare when they actually go and like directly send messages to fan sites like this for public relations, but every now and then it happens, and it's kind of a big deal when it does. So let us read the statement that was sent to TFW 2005 as well as Toy Arc and several other major news sites for Hasbro's brands. We wanted to share an update on packaging for Hasbro's 6-inch scale figures. Based on your feedback, we will be reintroducing windows and blisters to our 6-inch fan figures beginning later this year into 2024 for select products across our portfolio of brands, including G.I. Joe Classified, Power Rangers Lightning Collection, Star Wars Black Series, and Marvel Legends. This will eventually expand to all new 6-inch figure releases. The new windows and blisters will be made from bio-PET or recycled PET, helping us achieve our priority of meeting our fans' expectations for extraordinary packaging and superior design while still developing packaging that minimizes waste and the use of virgin plastic. Thank you again for being one of our biggest fans and for your continued support of Hasbro. Okay. Basically, they're backpedaling on the windowless packaging thing, and you hear everyone crying out in joy because it's so many problems for collectors. Now, before we begin with any of this, let's just make something very, very clear here. The environment comes first, right? The environment comes, like, protecting the environment and the earth and all that is more important than me getting my toy in a perfectly sealed box, right? So let's put that into it. Anything we complain about is kind of minor compared to what the goal of Hasbro was. But then again, ever since the windowless packaging was first announced, I have been very adamant and open about saying that I don't think that really is their goal. And we're going to talk about that in this video because frankly, this might be our last chance to do it. It's going to be a moot point beyond this. So let's just educate ourselves first, okay? So BioPet, recycled pet. No, they didn't turn Fluffy into plastic. I don't think. They're not that evil. So what is BioPet? All right, so BioPet. Bio-based pet is biomass-derived, fully recyclable, biodegradable, compostable, and renewable bioplastic material. The material is composed of 30% plant-derived ethanol glycol and 70% fossil-derived terephthalic acid. So by that they mean like the traditional stuff, but it's mixed in with enough biologically sourced material that the plastic can degrade and be composted, and more importantly, it can be fully recycled with no waste. Okay, so this is not a bad compromise. So the idea behind getting rid of the windows on the packaging is to eliminate one-time use plastic. So the same way that a lot of places are getting rid of reusable plastic, like one-time use plastic straws to cut down on plastic waste, this is kind of in the same vein, where it serves purpose and then it often gets thrown out, ends up in landfills, ends up in water, becomes microplastics, all that fun stuff that's destroying everything. So this is aiming to prevent that, where even if this stuff gets thrown away, it's going to decompose eventually. But more importantly, it can be completely recycled, sent back into the system, and more stuff can be made from it. So the idea is that it creates a loop of material that doesn't consume any excess product, and thus we can continue to use it over and over and over again. All right, so environmentally sound. This is a middle ground. I would say this middle ground leans more toward collectors and the environmentally conscious because we're still using one-time plastics. But I would argue that you're making a toy product, which means your biggest waste of plastic is going to be the toy itself. And you don't think of it that way because we're collectors, but you remember that most of the toy market is still kids. And kids and toys, you know, they get along until the kid does just a little bit too much damage. This gimmick doesn't work, the lights don't come on anymore, it's making this grinding noise instead of the neat Buzz Lightyear sound effects it used to make. Into the trash it goes. You know, most parents just buy the toys for kids, mostly as a distraction, mostly as just something to keep them entertained. So when the kid is done with it, the parent chucks it. You know, because to them, it was just a distraction. It doesn't have collector value that a lot of people, that's you and I, know that those things do have. More importantly, in the condition that it's left in after a kid's bored with it, it usually has no collector value left just because it is so damaged and beaten up. So most of it does end up trashed. Most of it ends up in a landfill anyway. So that is why I make the argument that a small plastic window on your packaging really isn't cutting down how much plastic waste is going into your product. Yes, it makes a difference, but it's a negligible difference at best, right? So let us refresh our memories a little bit, because Hasbro did make a statement in one of their Q&As about why they went windowless with so much of their packaging. The open is based on kids' research. They prefer that. Still finding the balance. Packaging is done way before a figure is actually produced, so can't take pic of actual toy to put on the closed boxes. So we're going to take that statement, and I'm going to ask a simple question. I'm going to ask a simple question to Hasbro that anyone should be able to answer. What is that? Tell me. What is that? Because that's the toy. That's the toy. I understand that a Marvel Legend does have a quicker turnaround time than a Transformer, but that is still the real toy on the real packaging, and there they had absolutely no problem. Also, we recall Transformer product. We have pictures of the toys on the packaging. Keep in mind, these days they show us like the finished CG renders of the toy, which they could just print that on the packaging. You know, they could, you know, if they actually wanted to put the budget in, they could texture those CAD models the way that they look in the toy to make them look more plasticky and more like how they're supposed to. So they could put that on the front of the box. It's a lame excuse is what it is. Because obviously there's a lot that contradicts it. So when I become doubtful about Hasbro's claims as to why they went windowless with the packaging, this is the kind of thing that makes me doubt their claims, because this is so very easily seen through. This is so transparent. So let's take a look. So when I first brought this up, when we first talked about the packaging going windowless and completely open, I did say a couple things that a lot of people disagreed with, but I think tunes are changing. One of the things I mentioned is that this would create a rise in vandalism with the toys, because now there's nothing protecting them, either from a kid who is getting too aggressive with something before it's bought, or just someone looking for a laugh. Or in the other argument, which we can see here, the other argument is, oh wow, these are just super easy to steal right out of the packaging. So let's take a look. I have swept the internet for all of 20 minutes. I spent a whole 20 minutes researching to find enough visual examples to make my point, and I didn't have to dig long. I didn't have to go very far. This is literally one website, and I think this is literally just TFW 2005, And I think I went through 10 pages worth of posts on the forums to pull these up. It really was not hard to find any of this. So, first off, let's look at vandalism. So, here we have a picture by Gold Dead End of a silver streak without its head. Keep in mind, this toy was released just after the whole LeBron James thing, so it was hilarious to just, you know, completely destroy the value of retail merchandise by stealing the heads. And this was common. This was really common. It didn't help that this toy was on super clearance at one time, so people thought, oh, they're only out a few bucks if I destroy this figure. It wasn't just Silver Streak that was at the victim. They did the same thing with the chicken flesh Dinobots. Those were found headless quite often. We have random incidents. Here is an RC that got vandalized. You can also see how badly the packaging got damaged in the attempt. And speaking of packaging damage, here's another one of junk heap. I actually saw several junk heaps that this happened to. So this picture also demonstrates another problem with the lack of the bubble. And that is you're going to be your mint and sealed box collectors. Number one, nothing is mint and sealed box anymore because the boxes are not sealed. But so keeping it long term, not a great idea. But because that window is missing, you're missing some structural support that the packaging desperately needs. Even getting stuff mailed, it's kind of a crapshoot whether or not the packaging is going to come in solid condition or not. You know, especially if you're doing it from like Hasbro Pulse, who usually pack in like way too much material and can crush boxes sometimes when they do it, or Amazon that really doesn't care. They'll throw it in a box or not throw it in a box. Just print a label straight on it and just send it away. So the packaging is now like super frail and flimsy. And because there's an open window, that means there's a lot of open edges that can easily catch on just about anything and very easily rip. So this was pretty common to see damaged packaging during the run of the windowless package. So let's move on to the just outright theft. I said that because we have closed boxes now for other figures, that this is actually going to increase the likelihood of things being bought, replaced, swapped out at home, and returned to the store for a full refund, which is just a more involved way of shoplifting, is what it is. But keep in mind, just like you saw with the Ravages, this was pretty heinous, even in store. This is from Amazon. This is from Amazon. So the user in question here ordered a... Okay, what did you order? Oh, yeah. It was a Motormaster, a Commander class Motormaster, and there's literally just a big book in the box. Amazon took it back, didn't check the contents, and resold it anyway. Because the box is closed, and no one could see what was inside it. So it could have literally been anything, or it could have been nothing. Let's move on. Let's do a few more. Core class is so easy to steal these days. I'm not condoning it. You're still an evil person for doing it. But when all you have are some very thin little plastic ties that hold it down to a cardboard card, yeah, this is very easy to just pull it straight out of the window. You know, if you're stealing it, what do you care about damaging the box? You know, some people can get it out without doing any damage to the box. You know, here's a missing Megatron, exact same way. Who else we got missing here? There's an Iguanus that got stolen. Now, the easy one was Ravage. There's a period where I went to Walmart for different Walmarts for months, and a few Targets even, and it was hard for me to actually go into a Walmart that did not have at least one stolen Ravage, where it's just an empty box hanging on the peg. So that was pretty rampant. And it wasn't exclusively to the core class. That was just the easiest. Here's someone just straight up ripped a full deluxe right out of the Velocitron box. You know, I thought these were a little bit, you know, well, I guess not, because there's only like a couple twist ties holding it down. So I guess that makes it even easier to steal. We also had things like this. Poor Cheetor got stripped straight out of the Buzzworthy pack. I'm sorry, Prime. I'm sorry, Bumblebee. I guess you're just not worth stealing. The way Cheetor was. Bigger packaging did not deter people. We'll just straight up steal Tarn right out of the packaging. Why not at this rate? Then we get to the package swapping, which happened at leader class and higher. So right away, when you see this busted up Blitzwing box, it looks like it's been used like a soccer ball. And you notice that someone has scribbled the word Optimus on the top and crossed out the name Blitzwing and put Optimus across. For starters, okay, so we already know that the people who are taking in these returns don't bother checking. They don't know any better. They don't know the toys. They don't know the difference between an Optimus and a Blitzwing. They don't know. They don't care. When someone's literally crossing the name out and then writing something in its place with literally a blue Sharpie, doesn't that raise any alarm bell? Doesn't that tell anyone maybe something is up here? Here's what's up. Not exactly Blitzwing. Not exactly Blitzwing, because the truth is, as long as they feel some weight in the box, they're going to take it back no matter what, right? As long as they can hear something rattling around inside. Here's a Coronation Starscream, down to a very generous $39. And inside, we find... You can't see it because it's a dark image and it's a little bit small on the screen, but that is a World War II Hot Rod from Studio Series. No one checks. No one checks. In fact, here's another Coronation Starscream with nothing. Someone returned an empty box. No one checked it. So that you don't even get a bad or old Transformer in return, in replacement. You just get that. Nothing. I told people that this would increase... the vandalism. Everyone said I was just being panicky. Everyone said I was off base on that. I said that the closed packaging would encourage more swapping at the stores. Keep in mind, I've been seeing this all year since open packaging became a thing. I have been seeing this more and more common on my Twitter feed and on forum posts. This was literally just minutes worth of research to find the images I have shown you today. Now keep in mind, my stance on this has always been Hasbro is not doing this to be environmental, that is just the nice way of basically justifying a budget change. Mostly because, well, there's two reasons why I believe this. Number one, it's much cheaper to make the cardboard backings instead of a custom bubble for every single figure that comes out. You know, just punching holes and strapping a toy onto a cardboard backing with a twist tie. Way cheaper than having a custom bubble for every single figure to do a traditional blister package. All right, so that's where I believe it. I really do believe this was done for budgetary reasons, just to trim the costs even further than Hasbro's already trimming them. The other reason I believe that environmentalism was not their goal is because they still did it. Because if you went to get any of your classics Spider-Man, your retro Spider-Man, your retro, I saw this with retro Fantastic Four, they did this. I can see one from here that was recently released and still uses a clear bubble. If it's made for a collector and it would sell better because it has a bubble, they use a bubble. They, forget environmentalism. We're trying to sell to collectors. Bubble. Blister pack. Still a thing. This is a brand new Boba Fett. I saw this at Target like a month ago. They don't care. Because if it makes them money, they're still going to make the blister. And I think at this point, this is not a change to please fans. It kind of is because they want fans to keep buying Transformers and their toy lines in general. But then you have the fact that they're kind of on fire right now. Their investors were not pleased with their Rise of the Beast presentation. There was the fiasco over Magic the Gathering overcharging for its anniversary product and pissing off a lot of fans. There was the whole open license D&D fiasco that backfired on them terribly. Now we have the failure of one D&D. That's been completely scrapped now because that was so poorly received. Hasbro's not doing hot right now. They're basically counting on the D&D movie, which from what I heard is good, but it was poorly timed with Super Mario and John Wick 4, flanking it. And then the successive Rise of the Beast, which I have seen a lot of hype for, but I'm worried that it might just be returned to form that people are already tired of. And I don't think, I'm worried it's not going to perform the way they hope it will. I feel like this was a pull just to get collectors back to buying. Now, for us, we do have to keep in mind that the list did not include Transformers, because technically Transformers does not have a 6-inch line. Technically, Transformers Deluxes are 5 to 5.5 inches, and Voyagers are 6.5 to 7 inches. So technically, we don't have a line like that. But this was a press release that was sent directly to TFW 2005, which does indicate that Transformers, at least eventually, will be part of this discussion. So I'm expecting at some point we're going to find out that for the sake of consistency, the final part of Legacy is probably going to have open packaging again. But I would not be shocked to see it go back to closed after. Now, if we do see the last leg of Legacy, and it does have the sealed windows, well, then that will tell you the panic mode they were in, just from how many people were upset over the loss of those windows. So, that seems to be a wrap on the open box controversy with Hasbro's products, Transformers included. This is just to kind of give you a refresher of what's going on, and frankly, just me spouting off about why I think it's really going on, because frankly, Hasbro's left a lot of clues that there's, I'm sorry to say it, more than meets the eye about what they're doing here. I don't even feel good about that closing line, but I'm going with it. But thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. We might actually find out what the future of packaging for Transformers is coming up here. But if you're like me and you didn't like the changes, you didn't like the open boxes, and you didn't like the sealed box, the completely closed boxes either, we might actually be going back to form. We will have to see. I will see you next time. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.